This is Aaron Harper, and welcome to another episode of the Scaling Podcast. I'm super excited about today's conversation. Today, we're going to explore the unexpected pathways between seemingly unrelated industries, how technical skills translate across those industries, unconventional strategies for acquiring businesses and growing them.
And if you put the same time and energy into figuring out what's new and potentially intellectually stimulating for you in your current business, you can have a way more sure and dramatic win than going and betting on something new. Could you win doing something new? Absolutely, you could. Could you go to that table and 1,000 extra money? Yeah, you could. But is that the best decision?
If you've ever wondered how successful entrepreneurs think and how they see opportunities that others don't, you're really going to enjoy this episode. All right, Nik. Excited to have you here, man. Thanks for coming on.
I am stoked to be here, Aaron.
So we've become friends now a little over a year, I think. We've been talking and scaling businesses side by side. So I'm excited to get into this with you and learn more about you.
I'm excited you started a podcast. I mean, I've obviously been following the meteoric rise of Rolling Suds. So to talk to the genius behind it, the guru behind the curtain.
It's I don't know. Yeah, I'll take it, but I think So for the people who are listening that don't know you, you've, I think, ran 13 different businesses or something like that. Give me kind of a high level overview and I might double click on certain things.
All right. I'll give the hopefully minute. We'll see how long it goes. Sometimes I'm a little verbose, but you can cut me off. I worked in healthcare for about 10 years, home health and hospice in particular. And in 2020, I decided I was done. I was like, I gotta own my own thing. This was right before the pandemic. And so I looked and found a business. I bought a business here in Boise, Idaho. And at the same time, as I moved up, my brother-in-law owns a skilled nursing facility company. And he was like, hey, if you're moving up here, let's start a home health and hospice together. So I'm like, okay. So long story short, end up closing on both businesses. The home health and hospice we grew in about 3 years from 0 to 12 million, sold that. The medical billing company that I purchased, we ran for a couple of years, sold that, had good exits. And then at the same time, I've been investing in small businesses. Over the last year and a half, I've written a couple of small checks into searchers in the SMB community. Chris Kerner and I, business partner, have incubated and launched a few businesses. And we've also gone all in on content, honestly, over the last year. So that's that's 5 years and hopefully a minute or less.
That was great. So you sold two of those. So I'm assuming those are pretty meaningful exits, allowing you to kind of do this content thing and, kind of start some side hustles.
Yeah, I made enough money to do whatever I want, but not enough money to live on an island,
Yeah. I get that. And did you grow up in Boise?
I didn't. I grew up in Sacramento, okay. California.
I'm a California, recovering Californian as well.
Recovering California. There's lots of those. In-N-Out's building a headquarters in Tennessee. I don't know if you saw that.
Are they really? No, I had no idea. So that means we'll have an In-N-Out here soon.
They better.
Oh my gosh, that would be amazing.
Lots of companies are moving out.
Yeah, I was just in Salt Lake like a week ago, and anytime I see an In-N-Out, I'm like, I gotta go. Because I grew up in Southern California, and In-N-Out was on we had In-N-Outs everywhere. So.
Yeah, we just got an In-N-Out here in Boise, finally. So it's been nice.
It's so delicious. You guys have gone all in. So tell me how you met Chris. You guys go like way back, right?
Yeah, Chris and I. So we're both LDS Mormon, as many know the name. And we at 19 in our church, typically males will go and serve a mission. At 18 now, actually. And so for 2 years, you go and you basically sell God. You knock door to door, you talk to people, and you talk about your religion. And Chris and I met doing one of those mission trips. We were in Hungary. I was about a year and a half in. He was brand new. I was his trainer, and we just hit it off. We've been just like really good friends ever since. We're very different, but for whatever reason, we click. And almost 20 years at this point.
That's awesome. Yeah, Chris and I have also become friends and kind of align on a lot of the content stuff as well. And just fun about starting businesses and scaling businesses.
Oh yeah, that's Chris. He's addicted to it. He can't get enough.
So when did you kind of realize content and Twitter was going to be a big part of your story? Like what kind of event prompted that, and what led to that decision?
So I've been running these companies, and Chris has always been doing content in some form or fashion. First it was, Reddit, and then it was Quora, and then it was Twitter. I mean, he's just been all over the place. And he would always build these small followings, and I was always in his ear like, oh, dude, you should do this. You should do this. And he was like, no. He was very particular about how he used his followings. And he said, if you want to do it, why don't you just grow your own? And so in the back of my mind, I'd always had the idea that someday I was going to do social media, and I could do it just as well as Chris could do it. And when I sold my companies and I was no longer like just maniacally focused on those, it was kind of a put up or shut up moment. I was like, all right, let's do this. So in the fall of 2023, I decided I was going to try to grow a social media following. At that time, the thesis was like, oh, Chris had gotten these cool kind of opportunities in his DMs. Maybe I could do something similar. What I quickly realized was that content is the best way to build trust at scale. And for me, that's one of my biggest strengths. It's one of my best qualities is just the ability to connect with people. And I found it kind of intoxicating to think about, oh, wow, it's not only cool to meet people, but if you can tell your story and if you can build trust at scale, then you have a ton of optionality. You could have people reaching out to you with business opportunities. You could have inbound deal flow coming your way. You could have a business that you launch and then take advantage of the distribution channel, which is your network, right? So all of a sudden, it becomes less and less about what's the specific business and more about audience market fit, as opposed to product, or what's the term? Sorry. Product audience fit. Product audience fit, not just like product market fit. So the more I've been doing it and the more Chris and I have been doing it, it's just kind of proven the thesis that there's a ton of opportunity if you're able to control your distribution channel. And so that was really the thesis after a couple of months. It was like, oh, wow, there's something here. We should do that. And so in January of 2024, both of us were like, all right, let's do it. Let's go all in full time. And Chris has just exploded, from that point.
Off. He's got like really wild to watch.
He's got like 2 million followers or something across all the platforms. It's just insane. It's insane. And that's, in January of last year, he was at 50,000 on just Twitter. You know what I mean? So it's like he just found his groove and really started hammering it home. Me, not so much. I'm definitely, I'm nowhere near where he is. I'm still trying to figure out my product market fit. But the thesis is still the same. I mean, there's just a ton of value in building an audience.
For me, it was so we started to get some traction just from like Rolling Suds perspective in 2023. And like Rolling Suds was being talked about online by like Brian Beers or the Wolf of Franchises or whatever. And then in about the same time as you, December of 2023, I had like 216 followers or something like that on Twitter. And I was like, I think there's something here because we're getting a lot of franchisees coming from content. What if I just start putting myself out there? And I'm nowhere near where you guys are at, but I've grown from 200-ish followers to now I think we've got like 3,800 on Twitter. So in a year, it's pretty big jump.
Well, and the cool part about it is so Chris and I kind of have different goals and philosophies. Chris really wants to be famous is not the right word. Chris wants to have as big of an audience as possible because then he thinks there's just endless opportunities, endless monetization pieces for it. And his content it's kind of like business porn, right? It's like, here's an idea. You can do this. Just shiny objects syndrome all over the place. It's freaking amazing. Yeah. I'm a little different. Like, I don't care so much to be at millions of followers. I would be much happier just, okay, what's a specific niche that I can be in? And then only target that and like have that audience. So I think that those are different approaches, and some people want to be Cody Sanchez and some people want to be Brian Beers. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And both of them are doing exceptionally well, but they're just playing different games.
Right.
However, in creating content, the thing that I love about it, and I think that you're finding as well, it just refines your thinking, because all of a sudden you're telling people how you think about things, right?
Yeah.
And you do have to think, well, how do I think about scaling? How do I think about growing a business? How do I think about firing people? How do I think about taking on growth capital, et cetera? And you're like forced into creating this ethos that you've already had, but now you've like codified it. And the clarity that it provides is just, it's pretty incredible.
Yeah, I call it. Everyone talks about like working on the business instead of in the business. The content for me has been like working on the entrepreneur instead of in the entrepreneur. Like it helps me zoom out and be like, oh, like, and then you have to take these things that you think and you have to be able to explain them at a 6th grade reading level. It's like, because like that's how you have to write. It's at that level.
100%. And then you take it a step further. Not only do you have to understand these things and then write them down and then put it in a 6th grade reading level, then you have to figure out how to make it interesting to people. Yeah. And that might be your next step, right? Is like, okay, cool. You've kind of gotten consistent. You've been able to write it to a 5th grade level. Now it's like, how do I make the hook? What is the heart of this story? And I used to think that was gimmicky. I don't think it's gimmicky anymore. I think it's important.
Yeah.
When you're trying to communicate with a team, when you're trying to communicate with an investor or anybody who you're speaking with, what's the point of your story? What makes it interesting? Why should they be compelled to listen to you or invest in you? That's a skill set. And that is what Chris is freaking world-class at. He's incredible. Maybe the best I've ever met. And his growth is obviously a product of that. He is so much better than me at that. And like, not only are we playing different games because I feel like, oh, I want to play a different game than him. I couldn't win the game even if I played the same game as him. He's so good at it. And that is such a valuable skill set. The ability to articulate not just how you think about things, but make it interesting. Why should somebody care about it?
Well, what I like about what he's doing too is like, you know, it's not real, like stop talking about it. But what he does is he never says the words, but he's like, hey, go start this like perfume dealership business. And it's like, we're making $30,000 doing this and like, you should do it too. Or like, here's this tree stump business that like, you could just call these 30 people and like, it's actually real. Like it's not. And so like, there's people that are like, oh, wow, like I could do that. He simplifies it in a way that makes people feel comfortable diving into something that is completely unknown. And I think that's really interesting in how he does that.
Yeah, he's gotten called out a lot, right? It's like, it's not as easy as it looks. So what about insurance? You don't talk about how hard it is to do whatever it is, right? Like people are just complaining. And he and I talk about this. It's like, yeah, I am oversimplifying it. Yes, I'm not telling you all of the potential downsides, because if I did, you'd never do it. And I think if you spoke with any entrepreneur, they would say, or at least most, are like, man, if I knew what I knew now, I don't think I would have done this. Because you don't. Like ignorance is part of the process. You have to have this sort of not know what it is in totality. Otherwise you wouldn't have gotten started. Anyways, we talk about that a lot.
It's totally true. Yeah. So you guys have cofounders.com. Tell me what businesses are in cofounders.com. And are you guys 50-50 partners in that? Like you and Chris, like talk to me a little bit about the structure of that business.
Yeah. So I was in a different place a few years ago. I had sold my businesses. I had some capital. Chris is the type of entrepreneur where he'll make like $1 million 1 year and then nothing for 3 years. You know what I mean? It's just like lumpy. So he was in his lumpy season, if you will. And we'd been wanting to do something together for a long time. And so we were like, this feels like the right moment. And co-founders just happened to be for sale. We were talking on the phone one day and we're like looking at different URLs, and cofounders.com is for sale. And Chris was like, we should buy it. And at the time it was a $65,000 domain. And I remember thinking like, that's a freaking crap ton of money. And Chris talked me into it. He's like, the brand, bro, you don't understand one word domains. Anyways. So I bought cofounders.com, and the original thesis was, Chris and I are very different, but we want to be able to work on a bunch of different projects. And so co-founders would be that vehicle. For us, we're not Elon Musk. We're not Jeff Bezos. And I guess Elon Musk is actually a bad example. We're not Bill Gates or Jeff Bezos or Warren Buffett, where it's like they only focus on their one thing and that's all they do. Right. We like to have variety, and we would probably be richer if we only focused on one thing, but it's quality of life. And so we made the conscious decision that we were going to have co-founders and then fund partners and different businesses. That was the original thesis. We tried it. It didn't work out. It was hard for a number of reasons that we can go into if you want. But we've kind of settled on this thing now where co-founders is the vehicle for us to do joint ventures. So whether that is incubating something, whether that's partnering with somebody, it's not what we originally had envisioned, but yeah, it's a 50-50 partnership that we have on joint investments.
So, and when you say it didn't work out, just for the audience, that means funding operators to start these businesses didn't work out. And what happened and what did you learn?
Yeah. So again, back to that original thesis, it was like, he and I have all of these ideas all the time. I have a lot of practical experience in implementing them. I have some capital. So why don't we go and find entrepreneurial individuals, bring them in, incubate the idea, and then fund them? So at first it was just college students. Like we were just finding college students who were hustlers. And then quickly what we found, we did 2 cohorts of that. So we 10 people. We launched 10 different projects. Didn't put a ton of money into it, but the idea was if they came in and we incubated it and it showed promise, we would then fund it with $25,000. And then if it showed promise from there, we would either go and raise or just turn it into a real business. But we weren't talking about the new Facebook or Uber. We wanted these to be cash flowing businesses. So we were picking businesses that we knew we could cash flow quickly. Out of those first 2 cohorts, 10 students, 2 businesses still remain. One of them
is the tree removal business that you guys have.
So we have a tree removal business in Dallas that is doing about, I don't know, we'll call it $1 million in enterprise value. And then we have this AI healthcare startup that it is actually about to go raise high 7 figures, low 8 figures of valuation, right? So I'm not going to say it didn't pan out. It's just those are the only 2 that were left standing. But what we found was those entrepreneurs needed a lot of hand-holding. Like they just didn't know, okay, what payroll software should they use? How should they invest in something? How do you think about going to market? And so Chris and I weren't prepared to give the time and energy that it would have taken to get them up to speed. And ultimately, that's why it didn't work out. So now it's like, okay, cool. We'll only partner with people who have a proven track record. I'd love to get to a place where we could mentor, incubate, those types of things. But it just didn't work.
It's funny, what you're talking about is literally one of the most challenging things in franchising. Basically what you're talking about is investing in helping someone start a business, and then them needing all of the support necessary to start that business, and then ongoing support, which takes a lot of time. And starting a franchisor is not dissimilar to that. We're signing people up. They're signing 10-year agreements. They're investing their capital. We're investing capital and infrastructure to support them. And it takes a significant amount of time and energy to make sure that they have the tools they need to be successful.
Right. And what I didn't realize was we were thinking of putting maybe $50,000 a year towards this and launching a handful of companies, and quickly realized, we'd need a couple $100,000 a year. We'd need somebody to be full-time managing these projects, giving mentorship, insights. So it quickly was obvious that, hey, this is going to be more than either of us wanted to fund. So let's kind of go in a different direction.
So do you guys have a new buy box on opportunities for co-founders? And what is it?
We do. I would say the current buy box is not dissimilar from Cody Sanchez, media accelerated businesses.
Okay.
That are quickly able to quickly cash flowing, and are either not going to be disrupted at all by AI or are going to be disrupted totally by AI. So 2 examples that I'll give with that were healthcare. is an industry that's going to be totally disrupted by AI. But it's going to augment it and make it better. The care at the bedside is not going to go away, but all of the back end stuff is just going to be totally different. Plumbing, HVAC, it's probably not going to be impacted that much by AI. Some of the administrative stuff, but it's going to be a pretty similar industry. So for us, it's like, all right, it's either got to be a business that fits that criteria with AI, or it's got to be a media accelerated business, or it's got to be a business with limited capital investment, high ceiling for cash flows, and a proven operator. The best part is when they all like three converge, but that's currently like the three buckets that we look at.
And how's the perfume business doing? I know you guys launched that last year.
Oh, gosh. Oh, my gosh. Dude, that business, it's not going well, Aaron. I'll tell you that much.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. Or I probably shouldn't say that. It's going great. We were making so much money off of it. It's just amazing.
It's so good. It's so good. Yeah,
no,
there's
dude.
nothing wrong.
So we posted about that. We got Chris posted about this business, 20 million views. And people started reaching out saying, hey, I'd love to buy one of these perfume vending machines. And instantly we were like, I'll start capturing some information. So we get 2,500 or over 3,000 leads of people who have reached out to us and said, I want to buy one of these machines. So we're thinking, wow, we just discovered the money printer. This is incredible. So we go and we start developing a relationship with a manufacturer of those machines. And the relationship was fine, but I'll just fast forward to the punchline. The problem is everything costs more than you think and takes longer than you expect, right? There's a saying that I love. Do you know who Scott Galloway is? Mm-mm. He's a podcaster, but he's also NYU Stern School of Business professor, prolific investor. And he talks about when he goes in and takes over failing companies. You know, you walk in, you're like, oh, these guys are all idiots. And then you quickly realize they're not idiots. But one of his best quotes is like, they're not as dumb as you'd hoped, and you're not as smart as you thought. Right? It's like, oh, yeah, they do have reasons for this. Anyways, so it applies to this perfume vending business. We just ran into some like really big headwinds. Number one, it's not a market in the United States. Like perfume vending isn't a thing. So anybody who was buying these perfume vending machines wanted to know about it. Where should I place it? How much can I invest in a return? Or how much of a return can I expect? Where do I get the perfume? How do I stock it? How do I do the maintenance? All of those things we had to figure out from square one. So that was really hard. So the sales cycle all of a sudden became really long to close with these people. Number two, the manufacturer that we were ordering from took 90 business days to produce the machine. Business days. I'm not talking not calendar days. Business days.
That's insane. That's 5 months.
It's way too long. And so a lot of people place these orders and it was like, oh shoot, now we have this 5-month lead time. We had been telling them 90 days, but we understood it to be 90 calendar days. And so obviously there's some language barrier as well. And then anytime that you're dealing with international shipping, imports and exports, the logistics just become a problem. So even though we architected it in a way where we don't hold any of the inventory, we're not on consignment, we don't produce it, none of that. We were strictly a sales arm. We still had to manage the expectations between the end customer and the manufacturer. So it just became really logistically burdensome to manage all those things. And there's other things thrown in there, but ultimately we just decided we'll keep the landing page up, but in order for us to scale it to a business that would have been meaningful, we would have had to invest in it. And both of us are just at the point where we're like, is that the highest and best use of our time? No, it's not the highest and best use of our time. So we'll put it on the back burner.
Do you hear that sound?
Is it a guitar?
Yeah.
Shoot. Okay, hold on. It's my son.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure. Yeah.
It's President's Day, so the kids are home.
Yeah, my kids are home too. That's totally fine.
Sorry.
No worries at all. All right, so we'll pick back up. So we had a similar issue when we launched Rolling Suds. Like there was one, it was when I acquired the brand, it was January of 2023. But we were coming out of that like tail end of COVID of like vehicles being like an issue. And so like sourcing vehicles, equipment,
got it.
like all of that, like when the computer chips were like a challenge or whatever. And so that was like gonna be the only thing that I felt was gonna get in the way of scale for us was sourcing trucks, building trucks, all of that. So we actually partnered with the biggest producer of like power washing equipment in the U.S. Literally, like the title of the company is powerwash.com. So like it doesn't get it doesn't get more like you're the guy than like that. Like you're the guy. Yeah. So I go to them and we sit down and we're like, all right, here's our proprietary like truck. So had them sign an NDA. Like here's the layout. Here's what we need you to do. And they're like, done. We can totally produce them for you. And so I specifically only launched 7 franchise owners in 2023 because we were getting all of our systems down. We were building our team. We were making sure our suppliers could keep up. Like anytime you scale a business fast, you got to make sure that like everyone can row in the right direction and also has like the necessary paddles to
and has the oar.
Yeah, they have the oar. Yeah, they know, and they also know like what direction to go. Right. So we launched seven franchisees. We get 7 trucks built by this company. And on truck number 5, they start cutting corners. We caught them like using equipment that like they shouldn't have used. Like they promised that they would buy these exact SKUs. We literally gave them the SKUs. And so we ended up having to invest money to fix those trucks. And me and my business partners were like, screw this. We have too big of plans. We invested hundreds of thousands of dollars, built a separate company called Rolling Suds Products, spun up a website, spun up like everything, contacted the manufacturer in Italy, got a lock with them, like literally. And now we build all the trucks ourselves because,
Really?
and so we build them all. So it takes us about 6 weeks. We source all the vehicles, we build the trucks, and it's the only way you can completely control quality. So we can build 150 to 250 trucks a year now.
Wow.
And we're set up to do that. But to your point about like logistics and everything, like that is a thing that can slow a business down.
Well, and that's a decision you have to make, right? Like Chris and I could have said, let's do it. Let's go all in on this.
Yeah.
And we could have figured it out. It's figure outable. It's not like it can't be done. But in your case, your core business is Rolling Suds, right? And if you have one piece in the conveyor belt, which is obviously these trucks, not being produced, you've got to figure out a way to produce it for your franchisees. You've got big plans to scale it. So that makes a ton of sense that you would bring it in. For Chris and I, it's like, does perfume vending does it fill our main mission and goal? No, it doesn't, right? So it just wasn't worth the mental headache or the mental degradation that it was going to take to actually get it spun up. So like I said, we still have a website that does programmatic SEO. We still do sales, but we're not actively trying to grow that business right now.
So in what you're doing today, I know content is where you spend most of your time. Is that what you're most excited about, or what are you most excited about?
It has been content. It's changing a little bit for me. The whole idea behind content was, like I was saying, build an audience. But to what end, right? Like, what was the point of it? The point of it was, I'm young. Well, I think I'm young. I feel old sometimes. I'm going to be 40 this year. And I'm grateful for the wins that I've had, but I'm like, I have like 1 or 2 big swings left in me. And I wanted to figure out what the next big swing was going to be. So in building an audience and meeting cool people and doing a podcast, frankly, was just to explore. Oh, that's cool. What's this business do? It's like a kid in a candy shop. For the first time, I didn't have a main thing I was working on. I was able to go out and explore and see whether or not I liked the things that I was going to do next. So I've been exploring. And honestly, I keep coming back to this idea of being freaked out by artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
It's like, it's changing so fast and being implemented so fast. And so I think a lot about what businesses are not going to be disrupted by AI. where is there a competitive moat? And healthcare is one of those businesses that I keep coming back to. Like I said, it's going to be disrupted, but it's not going to go away. Yeah. I think accounting, potentially the legal profession, engineers, like a lot of these business, like those are going to go away at some point. But healthcare, at least in our foreseeable future, I don't think is going to go away. So I've been thinking a lot recently about getting back into the healthcare space, but not. I kind of bootstrapped it the last time. I think I'd want to raise some money and go out and either take down a roll up, spend 5 or 10 years doing that, or raise some money and just build something that I'm passionate about in the healthcare space. And yeah.
So like home health or like what type of type of healthcare?
In healthcare, the spaces that I'm the most excited about, home health and hospice and home care, I just know that. So that's, and I like it. It is something I'm passionate about, but that's like a given. The other spaces that I'm really excited about, autism clinics, autism treatment centers. I don't know if you know this. 1 out of every how many children born in the United States today has autism?
30. It's like 32, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's like
it
1
is.
out of 32.
It's in the 30s.
That's wild.
It's wild.
That's insane. That's nuts.
How old are you?
I'll be 37 at the beginning of the month.
Okay. We're close enough in age that like when we were being born, it was 1 in the hundreds.
Yeah.
Now, part of that could be overdiagnosing, but it doesn't explain all of it. So something's happening. But so you're seeing it just a dramatic need for services for children with disabilities. My twin sister who passed away a few years ago, she was severely developmentally delayed. And so it's something that I'm really passionate about. I think that there's a really good mission and it's a really good business in a growing industry. So I love that space. I really love med spas. People of our generation, as they're getting older, even the men, they're taking Botox and other fillers and they're doing, they're on TRT. They're on the GLP-1s trying to lose weight. They're doing hormone replacement therapies. So I think that med spas are really interesting, really, really interesting in the healthcare space. I also think AI wrappers in the healthcare space. So there's a ton of AI out there and there's a ton of potential AI applications, but many of these healthcare settings don't understand how to utilize artificial intelligence. So I think it would be interesting on a setting by setting basis to figure out how could AI help a dental practice? How could AI help a therapy clinic? How could AI help a counseling center? And then be hyper specific and hyper niche and roll out some of these AI wrappers kind of one setting at a time. So those are the ones that I'm the most excited about from the healthcare perspective.
That's cool. There's a franchise actually that blew up recently. You talked about TRT and Men's Health and stuff. So it's called Game Day Men's Health. They sold like 1,000 units or something like that in like 2 years. And which is way too many units to sell in a 24-month time span. Just generally speaking, I'm not saying they can't get them all open or whatever, but just to show the demand of that. It's pretty serious about that becoming a much more important thing in today's society.
Well, and so TRT is one thing, but I had a sister. I just mentioned her, my twin sister. She died of colon cancer, and so
I'm so sorry.
Thank you. If you have a close relative who dies of colon cancer, a sibling, you're supposed to get screened 10 years before they were first diagnosed with colon cancer. Well, we were twins, so it's like I had to get screened right away.
Yeah.
And dude, this was my experience going to get screened for colon cancer. Have you ever had a colonoscopy?
Yeah.
You have. Okay. So
Brutal.
I'll explain it for the audience. You have to drink this, at least I did, this Gatorade mixed laxative. 12 hours.
It's like Pedialyte, right?
Yeah. Well, they told me to get Gatorade, but then you put in whatever the laxative is.
Oh, yeah, right.
And you are just diarrheaing all night. You are you're just getting cleaned out. It is not fun. You're up all night and then you go in for your colonoscopy. For me, I'm mid-30s going for my colonoscopy. This was a few years ago. And the first nurse comes in She's like, okay, well, go ahead and take your clothes off. And I swear she's 17. I'm like, when did nurses start becoming teenagers? This is crazy. And then the next nurse comes in and she's like giving me my, propofol was what we used for me to be sedated. And she must have been 19 years old. I mean, there's no way she was a day over 19. And then I'm butt naked and I'm going into I have the gown on. I'm going in to actually get the colonoscopy, and the physician is, she can't be over 25. And I'm just like, since when did all these young women decide to work in a freaking colonoscopy clinic? This is ridiculous. So I do think that there is a space for male colonoscopy centers where it's like you just go and it doesn't feel like a sterile hospital setting. It's whatever this game day TRT centers is, but it just caters to men, make you feel a little bit better about going and getting colonoscopy and getting older, and hopefully there's not.
So what do you think of this whole like Make America Healthy Again, RFK, and how does that kind of influence the kind of macro perspective on healthcare?
I think we need it. Our country's not. It's not healthy. You know who this Brian Johnson guy is? He's trying to live forever.
Yeah, I follow him on. He looks like the videos that he records. He looks like a teenager, and he's like 48 or something. Yeah, he does look like a man. His Twitter is very entertaining, though. His Twitter is very entertaining.
He's very funny. But like he was on this kick where he was trying to only source foods that like had no plastic microparticles or nanoparticles in it. And I can't remember exactly what he was testing for, but he couldn't find any. Like he went to Whole Foods, he went to Sprouts, he went to the best markets that you could possibly go to, and that food still wasn't up to the standard that it needed to be for him to feel comfortable eating it. And so he's now started his own company, I think, around food. Food's a real issue. Every year around New Year's, people want to get in shape. What do? They sign up to go to the gym.
Right.
And that's like, I don't even know if that's half of the equation. I'd say it's less than half.
It's like 20% of the equation.
Yeah, it's good to be active. Being active is very good, but that's not what's ultimately going to kill you. It's the food you're eating. It's what you're ingesting, what you're putting into your body. And, in the United States, yeah, we eat a ton of processed foods. It's, I lived in Europe for a few years. It's like, if you were cooking dinner, you're cooking dinner all day. If you're cooking lunch, you started cooking lunch, at breakfast. Everything here is quick, microwavable, fast food. So anyways, that's my diatribe. And this is, I still eat Taco Bell and McDonald's. So like, I know it's terrible, but yeah, I do think it's good for us to start having a focus on health and trying to figure things out. RFK, I don't know. He's tying a lot of things to autism.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like, okay, well, what else explains it? Well, I'm not saying that explains it, but why have we had such a massive rise in autism? Why do we have so much diabetes in this country? Why is heart failure like the number one killer in the United States? There's a million things that point to the fact that our food in particular is definitely not as healthy as it needs to be.
Yeah. I think there's an opportunity for someone going into healthcare. I think I in my entire life, I haven't seen this much focus on healthcare. On like good, preventative healthcare. When I saw Whole Foods and eating healthy being talked about on Fox News, I was like, oh, we're definitely living in a simulation at this point. Like Fox News cares about like Whole Foods and healthy foods. Like we're something's up, but like there's no preventative clinics. It's all treating kind of like, it's like sick care, not well care. Right. So like, how do we preventatively treat some of these diseases, and especially in like the later years of life? Ideally, it happens sooner in like yours and my time, but like I definitely think there's an opportunity there.
Think about the incentive structure. Think about this: if I'm a physician right now, how do I get paid?
By billing. and
if
billing codes.
If I provide treatments.
Yeah.
That's how I get paid. People come in, I provide a treatment, boop, and then I get paid for it. It's volume. It's volume based. How many people did I see? How many people did I get in and out, right? What we need to switch to is a system where we're rewarding value, not volume. So if I'm a physician and I have 800 patients, what is the health, like the average health of that patient population, and then being reimbursed for that? That's what Medicare is trying to move to, this value-based model. But if we continue to go this route where it's volume-based, and it's like, oh, you have this, cool, I'll just build the insurance company and it's opaque pricing. We can't afford that. It's going to bankrupt the country. It has to move towards an outcome-based model as opposed to just volume, because we can't, like, we just literally cannot afford continuing to spend the way that we're spending on healthcare. It makes no sense.
Yeah. I read somewhere, so I started reading, I got into this in like October of last year, and I read Good Energy by Casey and Callie Means.
Okay.
Are you going to, yeah, I saw you at Main Street Summit. Did you see Callie Means speak?
No, not that I remember.
Okay, he was the one up there. So he spoke about, he's like a lobbyist. His sister is Casey Means. She was at top of her class, like ENT medical surgeon, like gonna be like, and then she basically was like, wait, I've been in medical school now for 10 years and there's not been one class teaching me how to prevent diseases. It's all about how to treat them. She dropped out. She made her own like preventative clinic that was based on keeping people from getting sick versus treating them when they are sick. And it's my understanding that Casey and Callie brokered the deal between Trump and RFK to like make them. Yeah. So anyways, I read this whole book, I dug into it, and I really think there's an opportunity for healthcare to be more preventative, like you're talking about, that's all based upon like what is the outcome for the patients. We're spending more on healthcare than any other developed country, and we're like 38th in life expectancy. Like it's the first time in history that our life expectancy is going down.
It's not good. No, it's not good. And like I said, I like in a vacuum, I would not choose RFK. I think he's got personally, I think he's got some cuckoo ideas.
I do too. His book is crazy. The book, it's like nuts. I read
Dude.
the like his book that he wrote. I'm like, that's nuts.
But what I will say is, you know this. You've run organizations. Sometimes you need a shakeup. Like sometimes, if something's not working, you need someone to come in and just offer different ideas, different perspective, different strategies on things. And I hope they don't break things. But the way that I'm looking at this current administration and coming into the government, it's literally Elon Musk's philosophy when he takes over failing businesses. He's like, I cut 30% more than I need to, knowing that I'll have to add back, but I'd much rather have to add back than continue to cut, right? And and there's a lot of pain involved in that, and it sucks, but you see this as a truism anywhere. If I go out and prune my garden, or I go out and cut back my trees, or I'm weeding, you probably are going to do more than you should have in order to keep things under control. Like the forests burn. It's a natural and healthy thing that happens because they need to then regenerate. Like it needs to have fresh soil, healthy soil in order for the trees to regenerate. So it's like, these are not new things. And I think that they're coming in and shaking things up. I hope that ultimately there's a positive outcome. I think it's going to be a bumpy road. Obviously for the next few years, but the American people signed up for it. You know what I mean? They're like, hey, we need this.
I feel the exact same way. There's a lot of issues that I have in general with people and their beliefs and this and that, but where we're at currently, I mean, I think, what are we up to? Doja saved the American people like $100 billion a year so far, just in like 3 weeks of waste cutting. And I mean, it's not necessarily that every single thing needs to be cut, but like they're tweeting and sharing all of it. And I'm like, it doesn't sound like we need to spend $32 million on that thing. You know,
well,
it's
like,
crazy.
I go back and forth with this. So full disclosure, I'm a fan of the cost cutting. I think it's incredible.
Yeah.
Where I have questions is like, okay, who's deciding what's cut and what isn't?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
that. Yeah.
Is it just run up the flagpole to Elon and he's like, good, bad, bad, good? Like, has he deputized people to say like, you can spend on this, you cannot spend on this? And then, and I've posted this before, and then people will respond to me and like, oh, well, do you think it's good to spend this money in Uganda? And I'm like, according to that headline, no. Like, yeah. That sounds stupid, but I don't really know what was in the program. So that's like one side of it, right? It's like, well, who's making the decisions? And then what's their lens for cutting things? How are they they should publish a white paper, frankly. How are they deciding what is and what isn't good, quote unquote, good spending? And then the American people can see it. But I do love the fact that they're announcing it and they're talking about it. Hey, these are the things that we've cut. I think that offers a lot of transparency. But the problem is not Doge. You know what I mean? Like, I'm asking those questions now, and it's like, that's not Doge's problem. You know whose problem it was? The freaking politicians who voted to approve these budgets year after year after year, and then act like, oh, we didn't know what was in it. Like, isn't that your job, dude? Isn't your job to read the bill and vote it up or down?
Like, that's what's wild, though. They don't even read the bills. Like,
no,
if they vote along party lines. Like, that's what's crazy.
We're talking about such massive sums of money, where you look at a line item and you're like, oh, well, this is just $10 million to the whatever Children's Symphony of Prague, and you're like $10 million. Like, Aaron, what would $10 million mean to your business right now? Or just to you personally, dude?
It would mean a lot, yeah.
It would mean a heck of a lot. So all of these cuts have made me feel more and more bullish on the fact that we can balance the budget just by being more efficient. It doesn't even need to be like new revenue streams or tax the rich or whatever else you want to have. It can just be, can we just stop spending spending money on the stupid stuff? And just like make sure we're focused on providing good services to our population in the United States.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I'm excited to see what happens at the end of the year when we've cut, $500 billion in needless spending. And it's like, wait, what does that do now to our economy? Like, in the taxes, I'm interested to see. I'm cautiously optimistic.
We will see. We will see. I've turned around enough businesses where I know I've come in and made some cost-cutting decisions, and it pissed a lot of people off.
So what we dive into on this podcast is like kind of the entrepreneur and what drives them to do the things that they do. I mean, I think at least for me, like I'm a relatively new entrepreneur. It was September of 2022, and I was still like a really high-paid employee at a company. So like I'm roughly 2.5 years into this thing, but you have to be kind of crazy to do what we do. Like, you have to be kind of nuts. So like, what's your why for doing a lot of the stuff you're doing? And like, why do you continue to take these large risks? What drives you to do it?
I think there's two types of entrepreneurs. I think there's type A, which is Chris, which is like, Chris could never work for another human being ever. He would just be a terrible employee. And so he's just always been a hustler, always figure like, how do I make a buck? Right. And then there are entrepreneurs like you and I, where we knew we wanted to be entrepreneurs, but we had to go get experience first. And then we got comfortable enough. Maybe we built up a nest egg. Maybe we built up a skill set. Maybe we found the opportunity, whatever. And then we took the risk and jumped into it. And the reasons for finally taking the jump can be different for people. Some people want to be rich. Some people want to just control their life, have quality of life, whatever it is. I'd say I fall more into the quality of life camp. Like I really just want to have control over my life, and my kids are young, and spend time with them is important to me. Going skiing when I want to with them is important to me. Coaching their basketball and soccer teams is important to me. So for me, that's why I continue to follow along this path, is because the freedom that it provides is just invaluable. And I'm constantly chasing my curiosity anyways. So now I'm able to do that as much as I want. And yeah, I don't know if that answers your question or not.
Yeah, it does. and I've been thinking a lot about this recently. I read, or I'm like chapter 17 of Sahil Bloom's book, The Five Types of Wealth, which, by the way, like his book release that he just did of this is like a masterclass in book releases. Like,
Yeah, it's very good.
he did an amazing job.
Right.
But the book is, it talks a lot about this. It's like we as a society have kind of grandized like this idea of like financial wealth is the type of wealth that we need to like live to. But the book posits that there's all these other kinds of wealth: time wealth, social wealth, mental wealth. I forget the other one.
Health wealth. There's got to be a health wealth. In there,
and then health, yeah, and then so health wealth. So then those are the five, and it's basically like we need to make decisions through the lens of like how does it affect all five times of wealth versus just like, hey, this company is going to pay me more money, so I'm going to move my entire family to a completely different state because I'm going to make double the amount of money. But it's like you get there, you're farther away from your family, you don't have your friend groups, like, and all of a sudden it's like you made this terrible decision.
Yeah.
And I'm like you. I've got you know, my son's almost 4, my daughter's 2, and we actually have a baby boy on the way,
Nice,
which will
man.
be here. Thank you. Yeah. And like my purpose, the way I look at like my purpose is, yes, I want to impact the world through educating people about franchising and building franchise brands that are sustainable and help people, you know, achieve, you know, financial wealth and stuff like that. But like, my purpose is to provide a life that is meaningful for my wife and kids, and everything else is just a means to do that better. And so I've really been thinking about that a lot recently.
Yeah, I think you have to know why you're doing things, and you have to be motivated in the right ways. I think one of the other things people get wrong is that they want to follow their passions right away. Mm-hmm. I think passion can be a really good driver. I think it's an amazing driver. But I've told this to, I can't even count how many people. I'm like, secure the bag first and then go explore your passion. I'm lucky in that sense where it's like, all right, I have some wins. I can now do whatever I want. But I'm in the position to be able to do that because I was able, like, you know, I secured the bag, so to speak.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And many people think, oh, well, I'm 30 and I have kids. I should have a house now. I should have that nice car. I should be taking 5 vacations a year. I should be with, you know, spending time with X, Y, and Z. And it's like, there's a season of life for everything. Mm-hmm. And you have to architect your life the way that you want it to be. You're not entitled to anything. And if you want all of those things, then go out and make it for yourself.
Right. Yeah, I think that there's something to be said about putting your head down and doing something that's really hard for 2 to 3 or 4 years so that you can get to a point where you're at, where it's like, okay, I've now got some level of economic freedom that gives me the ability to buy my time back and choose what I want to do next. And that doesn't necessarily have to be like some passion project. It could just be, hey, I'm building a power washing business because I want to learn how to build a business, or I'm building a lawn care business because I want to learn how to build a business, and it's boring, it's recurring, it's going to happen, and I want to do that successfully. So I think there's definitely something to be said about that.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people look at business. Have you ever heard someone call a business a lifestyle business?
Yeah,
it's always like used. It's always used as a pejorative. It's like, oh, well, yeah, he has a lifestyle business. And usually, for those who don't know, a lifestyle business, usually what they're referring to is like the business is optimized around providing a certain lifestyle for that owner, founder, entrepreneur, whatever it is, right? And what they're saying, or what many times they're doing, is they're looking down on that entrepreneur. They're like, oh, well, he's not really trying to build something great, or he's not really trying to optimize whatever I think is most important. But I've come to the place where I'm like, I love a lifestyle business. Yeah. Everybody should have a lifestyle business. Like, your business is not your life. You should have a life. Now, I become hyper obsessed with everything that I'm working on, so I like can't help but integrate it.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, your business should be a lifestyle business. It should, whatever you're doing should be facilitating the life that you want. Otherwise, what are you doing? You're just kind of wasting your time.
I last year, up until April of last year, was doing all of the sales for my business. So I was recruiting every single franchisee to come into our system. And I wanted to do that. I wanted to do that at the beginning because I wanted to make sure that the franchisees knew who I was. There wasn't a lot of history. In fact, there was no history other than the original location. But we got so much traction so fast that at one point in April of last year, March, February timeline, so around the same timeline, I was booked out 5 weeks in advance.
Wow.
And if I missed, I had a waiting list of people that were like, if you have cancellations, please let me know. I'll drop whatever I need to get on an intro call with you. And I was like, and we had a big team, right? Like I was making sure that was the revenue coming in to support the team and all of that stuff. But like, I was literally chained to my desk, and there was no such thing as hey, I'm going to end today at 4 because I'm going to go spend time with my kids. And it was not sustainable. And I was like, I got to step out. I got to like build a team. And in order to have that lifestyle, that like, oh, okay, like I need to actually have a life.
It goes back to like, you got to be clear on what you want. You got to be clear on what you're doing. Otherwise, you're going to be a slave to the next fire, and you've got to be ruthless with your time. I'm not kidding you. As we've been speaking, I got this text. I'm going to read it while we're
read it. Yeah, go for
while
it.
we're talking. Hey Nick, we're finally placing our first 2 orders. I'm going to change the wording up just so nobody knows exactly what I'm saying. So I mean this in the best way possible. The goal is to make you regret not investing in us. Ha 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 ha. So I met with this company, and they pitched me. Great company, but it wasn't in my buy box. Maybe I could have made money off of it, but I just wasn't in a place. And I'm trying to be ruthless with where I allocate my time and resources. And we're still friends. I mean, he and I are still friends. And now he's texting me to, make sure that I'm jealous. But you're going to have those. Like, you just have to be okay with, there's going to be upside I potentially can't capture because you've been very intentional with your time. And it was hard for me. It's still hard for me, frankly, but it's hard to get to that place where you're clear on where your boundaries are and you're okay with missing potential upside. That's funny.
Steve Jobs used to ask his That's funny. He used to ask his executives, "What have you said no to recently?" to determine like where they're focused. And as I'm sure you can imagine, get a lot of inbound requests for me to franchise people's businesses. We've taken Rolling Suds from one corporate location to a 250 unit, behemoth of a business in 2 years. And so a lot of people, hey, I've got a $2 million landscaping business, or I've got a $14 million facilities management business, or I've got like, please, can you talk to me? Or like, hey, I want you to invest. I'll give you, or you don't have to invest anything else. Sit on my board and, give you equity. And it's saying no to that is just me saying yes to the thing that I originally made the decision to stay committed to, which is Rolling Suds. And reaffirming my commitment to that.
Yeah, you only have so much time and resources to allocate to things. I like to think of it as like you're in Vegas and you're going to the casino. And one table, you can win 2 times your money, but you win 85% of the time. Okay. Another table, you can 1,000x your money, but you only win 10% of the time. Now, some quant nerds out there are probably going to be like, actually, you should do the second table because of the theory of distribution with R squared is going to, it's like, all right, whatever, dude. Well, the way I think about it is I'm going to go play the game that has the highest probability of success for me.
Right.
And when you've got something that's working, and you're making a couple $1 million a year, it's easy to get distracted by the new thing because it's different. It's new. It tickles your curiosity. Oh, what's this over here? I wonder if I can make money this way. But what you forget is how hard it is to build to where you already are. And if you put the same time and energy into figuring out what's new and potentially intellectually stimulating for you in your current business, you can have a way more sure and dramatic win than going and betting on something new. Could you win doing something new? Absolutely. You could. Could you go to that table and 1,000x your money? Yeah, you could. But is that the best decision? Like, I don't think so. And it's a hard lesson to learn. Everybody has to learn it on their own, though.
We see this a lot in the franchise industry. And I know a lot of people don't even really know there is a franchise industry, but like there's a, relatively small community of people that like launch, start, support, grow franchise systems. And you see this a lot with like, you see these platforms of service brands start. Actually, that's where I worked prior to kind of launching my own, but they're like, okay, we've sold out most of the major markets. Now we need to launch another brand. Okay, now we've sold out most of the major markets. Now we need to launch another brand. And all of a sudden you have 3 brands with 200 franchisees that all need to get to a point where their businesses are sustainable. And like you just double, triple your problems essentially before you've even gotten one off to the races, just simply due to the nature that franchising at its core is you only have so many territories on the shelf. And so, there's kind of this like thesis of like, and the way I think about it is it's like, it's so hard to be exceptional at one thing and to get something right and do it. Like, there's always ways to go deeper in the one brand or the one business that you launch. And so we're ruthless about that.
Look at Apple. Now, someone could argue like, oh, they have a lot of products. Okay. Relative to their size, they don't have that many products. Right. And if you were to take AirPods, just these stupid things that we have in our ears, that's like a Fortune 100 company. Yeah. Just AirPods, just that business line, tens of billions of dollars a year in revenue that it generates for Apple. Yeah. And they've been and how many different versions of these AirPods are there? There aren't. There are different versions from like a time scale standpoint, right? Like, yes, there are different iterations, but in the current iteration, there are not like 4 different versions. Basically, the most you can customize this is like this little thing in your ear. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like what size is going in your ear? That's about it. That's about like the most you can customize with it. And they've been maniacally focused on one thing. I think there are lessons everywhere for that. You compare them to Samsung. Samsung's just their Walmart to Apple's, Nordstrom. Yeah, absolutely. So I wanted to talk a little bit about just the kind of Twitter and the ETA community that you and I have become kind of members of. Yeah. You just launched this growth group, which has been amazing, by the way. So thank you for inviting me to that. It's been awesome. You've done a phenomenal job, and I know we're in early innings on that. But I mean, you've gathered 175 entrepreneurs or Twitter people, something like that? 200 accepted, only we're like 175 that have actually gone into Slack, but we'll probably settle around that 170 number.
That's amazing. So what's that experience been like? I knew you did it last year. It wasn't as big as it is this year, right? Or was it?
No, it was about 100.
Big.
Yeah, it was about 100 last year, which was still sizable, but this year's just way bigger. Yeah. So last year, the idea was people want to leverage social media. Right. And they don't know how to do it. And they feel awkward doing it. And it's like they can't talk to their spouse about it or their friends because they'll get made fun of. But they still see the value in going and building an online presence. And so I started this thing last year, which was called Growth Camp. And we put people into pods who want to grow. And then at the end of it, we had Growth Madness, where it's this bracket style competition to see who could grow the most over a certain period of time. And it's really just about bringing people together who are like-minded and want to use social media to grow, whether that means their business, whether that means personally, whether that means their network, whatever. And it's been a ton of fun. Last year was a ton of work because I just did everything by myself. But this year we've got a lot of people helping with us. And we track metrics. We do masterclasses. We provide education. It's completely free. I'm not charging for it. I've had many people tell me I should charge for it. But the problem with charging for it is once you charge for it, then there's an expectation. And when there's an expectation, then you got to like build a business around it. And I just really don't want to do that.
That's awesome. And then you just recently invested in Tribe, right? Tell me,
I
you
did.
and Chris both, right? Tell me about
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
and kind of your thesis around that.
I love community. I love people. I love connecting. This growth camp is an example of that. And I've always thought there's an opportunity to do something that gives entrepreneurs that outlet. I mean, entrepreneurship's really lonely.
Yeah.
And if you don't have someone to be a sounding board or to get advice from or to even just vent to, it makes it even harder to kind of go through the process. So I love the idea of communities. I don't like the idea of doing them myself because I think it'd take a lot of extra work. And so I met Trenton. He came on my podcast and we had some conversations, and he's exceptionally passionate about providing a space for entrepreneurs to connect and to grow and to have a mastermind. And I asked him, I'm like, hey, can I invest? I'd love to be a part of this. So I invested in Tribe, and it's been phenomenal. I mean, he's done a phenomenal job. It's grown like crazy. It's providing really good results for the people that are in the community. And honestly, I've been happier with it than I thought I would be. I knew I would be happy with it, but it's gone better than I even imagined.
That's awesome. What have you liked most about it?
Everybody else who's in the community space on social media is doing it as a side business. It's like a way for them to make money, right? This is my personal opinion. Mm-hmm. And Tribe is actually offering a really good product. Like the thing that we're promising, we're delivering on. And that makes me really excited. And I'm seeing people excited about it. This isn't just me talking to Trenton once a week and he's like, no, things are going really well. You can see the community of Tribe. You can see that it's growing. You can see that there's an actual buzz and momentum behind it. So I love that piece. I think that it's being actually effective. I also love just meeting new people. It's been cool to have new people sort of pulled into my orbit. So that part's been really fun.
I love to see you investing both time and capital into community, whether it's through the growth group or whether it's Tribe. Like, business ownership is super lonely.
Yeah.
We stress that amongst our franchisees is like, hey, call the person next to you because they're building the same business, or the person in the city next to you or the state next to you because they're building the same business. And we try to like get them all, we have them all in a group chat, stuff like that. Cause like it's way better to go through building a business with people alongside you than doing it on your own. And
Agreed.
for me, like I even launched like a private home service franchisor mastermind where I invited like 8 different franchisors, and theoretically we're all competing for the same prospective franchisees, but we're in different industries and such like that. And we meet once a month. We meet for 90 minutes. We talk about a specific topic. We meet once a year in person at somewhere in some destination. And I don't charge anything for it either. It's just been, and that's been super helpful for me as well.
Totally agree. Yeah. I think you can have a paid mastermind or you can do a free one. Just create one for yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Nik, where can people find you, and what?
I have a podcast.
Anything else you want to?
Podcast, yep. Nikonomics. Come check that out. Find me on Twitter. Co-founders Nik. Yeah, those are the 2 places that I hang out the most.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for coming on. I appreciate it.
Thank you, man. Appreciate you.